So if you've ever thought about launching a crowdfunding campaign, you know it can feel like you're just rolling the dice, right? Well, today we're going to talk about how to stop guessing and start strategizing. We are diving into an approach that uses hard data to turn a campaign from a hopeful wish into something that's truly built to win. And really, it all comes down to this one simple question. I mean, think about it. The crowdfunding world is absolutely packed. It's noisy. For every single great idea out there, you've got dozens, maybe even hundreds of others all fighting for the exact same investor dollars. So how on earth do you make your voice the one that gets heard? The first thing we really have to get our heads around is just what a challenge the crowdfunding landscape is today. Seriously, this is not some friendly walk in the park. It's a gauntlet, and to get through it, you're going to need a whole lot more than just a cool product or a nice story. I saw this line in the source material and it clicked for me. Investors have choices. We make sure you're the best one. See, that's the whole game right there. It's not about convincing someone you're a good choice. It's about making them feel like you are the only choice that makes sense. That changes everything. Okay, so let's break down what that gauntlet actually looks like. First, you have to somehow stand out from the crowd. Then, you have to attract investors, and not just anyone, but the right people who actually get your vision. After that, you've got to maximize every dollar you can possibly raise, and this is a big one, you have to nail those critical early milestones to show everyone you've got momentum. Any one of these can sink you. So, knowing all that, how do you actually succeed? Well, this is where we shift from looking at the problem to finding the solution. It's about a totally different way of thinking, a smarter, more strategic approach to your entire campaign. And you guessed it, it all comes down to data. And the key that unlocks all of this is something called an offering insight report. The best way to think about it is like a strategic blueprint for your campaign. It's this super in-depth analysis that benchmarks you against literally everyone else out there, giving you this clear, unbiased picture of where you stand and exactly what you need to do to come out on top. And this right here really says it all. You've got the old way, just gut feelings, hoping for the best, a ton of guesswork. And then you've got the new way, cold, hard, data-driven analytics. It's basically the difference between trying to find your way through a forest in the middle of the night versus having a satellite GPS map of the entire thing. Okay, so what do you actually get out of this? What are the real, tangible benefits of switching to a data-driven strategy? Let's get into the specific advantages this gives a founder, because there are some big ones. The first massive advantage is just perfecting your competitive positioning. This is all about making absolutely sure that when an investor is looking at your offering next to someone else's, you are the clear, obvious, no-brainer choice. And what's so cool is seeing how it works. It's not magic, it's a process. First, you analyze the entire landscape in your industry, everything that's come before and what's happening right now. From that, you can pinpoint who you're really competing against. And once you know that, you can arm your campaign with the exact insights it needs to stand out. And from there, you attract the right investors and you maximize that raise. And here's the other big thing. This isn't just about planning before you launch. Data becomes your co-pilot for the entire flight. It's all about tracking your performance in real time so you can optimize and adjust as you go. We all know those first few days of a campaign are everything. This approach helps you map out those critical milestones and understand the signals you need to be looking for from investors. As the market starts to react, you can see the key indicators, figure out what the trends are telling you, and then boom, refine your strategy right there on the fly to get the biggest possible impact. Now, this all sounds pretty amazing, right? But it does bring up a pretty important question. Where is all this insight coming from? I mean, what's the engine behind all this analysis? And more importantly, why should we trust it? Well, it starts with this number right here, over 125. What is that? That is the number of critical data points they track for every single campaign. We're talking about an absolutely insane level of detail, way beyond the stuff you see on the surface. So where do they get all that? It's powered by a platform called CClear, and this thing is the real deal. It's the industry's most comprehensive dataset. It has been tracking every single Regulation CF offering, the framework that lets regular people invest in startups, since the very first day it was legal. So we're not talking about a small sample here. This is the whole picture. But let's be real. Data by itself is just a bunch of numbers on a screen. The magic happens when you can turn all that data into actual wisdom. And to do that, you need expertise, that critical human element that knows how to read between the lines and tell you what it all really means. And that's why the partnership behind this is so key.
This was all developed with crowdfund capital advisors, who are pretty much the leading authority in this entire space. I mean, these are the folks who advise giant financial institutions and even policymakers on this stuff. So you know that every single piece of analysis is built on this incredibly deep understanding of how the market actually works.
So, when you pull it all together, what you get is a complete change in mindset. Using this kind of insight, it isn't just a defensive play to avoid failure. It's an offensive strategy. It's about putting yourself in the driver's seat to make smarter, more confident, and way more effective decisions right from the very beginning.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In the high-stakes game of crowdfunding, everyone is worried about the market. But what if the biggest risk isn't the market itself? What if the real risk is just showing up to this incredibly complex, competitive world with the wrong map? Or maybe with no map at all?